Welcome to World of Marketing Podcast, a Foster Web Marketing production. Here's your host, Tom Foster.
Hello, everybody. It's Tom Foster on the World of Marketing. And here I am with my good buddy, the Godfather, Dr. Peter Wishnie.
It doesn't make any difference to me what a man does for a living, you understand?
Now,
How you doing, Tom?
what's up, buddy?
How's it going, buddy?
I'm good.
Everything's all good, man.
Now, Dr. Peter Wishnie, as I call him, the Godfather, he's a podiatrist. He's also my podiatrist up there in Piscataway, New Jersey. He fixed my foot. I had plantar fasciitis for years and years. I didn't even know that's what it was. And then one day, I took a trip up there with my buddy Jim Folliard and visited Peter. And there's actually a video of that trip on his website if you want to go check it out. And he fixed my foot in a day. And he's a miracle worker. And I've never had any pain since then. Of course, I did what he said to do. It wasn't just one event. Of course, you are a miracle worker. I'm not taking anything away from you. But I did exactly what you told me to afterwards. I did all the stuff that you're supposed to do afterwards. But just a great doctor and a fantastic guy and a fantastic friend. So thank you for being on my show, Peter.
My pleasure, Tom. It's great to finally we get to speak. You know, I was going to take the train all the way down to Virginia, but we're doing it this way now. It's cool.
Here we are. We got a pandemic going on, so you know, we gotta do that. Are you at home or are you in your office?
Neither. I'm in New York City at my girlfriend's apartment.
Oh, there you go.
It's really strange. We have limited hours in our practice. I work in New Jersey Mondays and Tuesdays, and then I come here Tuesday nights, spend the week here, and Jamie cooks for me every night. I go do the food shopping in New Jersey, and but starting in a couple of weeks, we're back full force.
Kicking it back off again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of what I want to talk about. You know, you're a doctor, you're a foot doctor. It's been this pandemic that has shut down the world has been tough on, people got to bring you their feet to get them fixed.
Yes.
So
and we have a lot more at-home injuries, you know, these wooden chairs like coming out of nowhere, and your little pinky toe bangs on these chairs, and broken toes, and people doing. Yesterday, Tom, I removed probably in over 30 years the largest ingrown toenail I've ever seen. Truthfully, I didn't think I could see anything bigger than I've seen before. This guy kept on digging. I don't know what he was digging for. He finally came in, and I couldn't believe the size of this sucker.
Oh man.
So yeah, but stuff like that, and then we're also treating a lot of these essential workers. You know, the first line, our workers are coming in because they're on their feet, crazy number of hours. So we provide an essential service in the sense that we're helping people stay on their feet, stay healthy, but keeping them out of the emergency rooms. These little things, you don't want to go to the emergency room for an ingrown toenail right now.
No,
they're
you don't.
too busy. They don't even know how to handle that anyway. And even if they did, don't take a first line, worker away from what they really need to do right now. So.
Yeah, that's for sure. So you've been busy then.
Busy. The first month, it was like, it's slow. Each day slow. See about 8 patients in about 4 hours. But now it's just like people, I don't know if they're just getting tired of this stuff, or they're just saying, you know what, I need to come in, and my daily outing is going to the podiatrist's office, and it's getting busier. So it is the patient population that's dictating us to open up the hours.
That's good. I think that, people at first were scared, obviously, for good reason, to go out. But now, even me, I'm like, I'm going to go see my doctor this afternoon. I'm going to I need to go make an appointment. Here's what happens. Just like with you get to a certain point where you're in enough pain. You're like, okay, the pain outweighs the concern or worry. And you're going to go to a not a full-blown hospital, but a doctor's office where it's way more safe, I would say, protected. You guys obviously have created an atmosphere where people feel comfortable. Yes. And I'm going to go to my chiropractor because I got to get some, my back cracked and my neck done up and stuff like that. It's been many weeks. Look at me. I'm a mess. Like, I got to get my hair cut and my beard trimmed and all that. I'm not, look at you. You're all like polished up and all like well taken care, well groomed. I'm a mess.
I have I probably have 8 ounces of gel in my hair right now to keep it matted down.
Well, I'm actually going for the Jason Momoa look. That's what I'm after right now. It might take me a few years, but that's what I'm doing. Because when they open up, the river again. Well, actually, we can go on the river, but when it gets nice out and we're out boating, I'm looking forward to having my wind blow back. Like that's my goal. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep you posted. You'll go out on the boat with me.
I would love to, man. That'd be great.
So I want to talk about this because this is something that I received in the mail, and I know this is something that you're very proud of, as well you should be. And so for the people that can't see what I have in my hand, this is your new book, The Podiatry Practice Business Solution, which I know you've been working on for a long time.
Yeah, it's my pride and joy. I've always wanted to write a book. It's been on my bucket list for years. And then, as you know, our good friend Rem Jackson was writing a book and introduced us to Nancy Erickson. And you know what? I'm saying, yeah, okay, it's great. I want to write a book, but it's not the right time. I have to do so many other things. And then I realized it's never going to be the right time. And at least you have a coach who works you through the process and just do a little bit every single day and said, you know what? I could handle that. And when I put my mindset down, on this, it took me about 7 months. The process in my head was probably years. And the start and stop process, write a little bit here and then don't write anything for about 2 weeks. And then when I put a formula together, which is in the book, is basically writing 500 words a night, 5 nights a week. When I decided that I will not go to bed till I write my 500 words, I got it done. And then when you just make it, these little tiny habits every single day, it's just all of a sudden you have an end product. You finally see the end of your hard work, and have this thing. It's just like, it's just it's a pride and joy, because it's something that in our profession in podiatry we really don't have a business manual. For years, I've been reading books written by dentists and chiropractors. They're really good at marketing and running their practices. And I'm like, okay, it's time. I mean, my first book ever read was by a urologist, and Dr. Neil Baum. And I'm like, I sent him a copy. He's in the book. And 30-some years ago, I read his book, and now he's reading mine. So it's pretty cool.
Well, I got to tell you that I know how long you've been working on this and how hard you've been working on it. And I have been reading it, and I'm not quite done yet, but I love it. This is fantastic, Peter. And I'm going to tell you why, because it is so authentic to you. And when I'm reading it, I can just hear your voice, and it's like talking to you, and I can hear you talking to me. And there's so much great stuff. First of all, you're just a meticulously organized person. I mean, everybody that knows you knows that about you, and knows how, knows your story. And if you don't know Peter's story, you got to read the book, because it's you're just a self-made man. And the fact that you just went out and decided to start you just bought your practice right off the bat, and started from that, and said, this is how I'm going to do it. And, everything be damned. I'm doing it this way. And it's all in here. And anybody, it doesn't matter. I mean, yes, you're a podiatrist, you're a doctor. And of course, all doctors should read this book, but any business person should read this book. And it's funny because when I'm reading it, I'm highlighting things in here because I'm like, wow, that's great advice. And it's stuff in here. A lot of it, I'm like, I know this, damn it. I need to implement this again. So it's also very refreshing. I like right here, to be the best, you have to do what others won't. I mean, it's just very simple, but down to earth. There's nothing in here that's like hard. In other words, nothing that people will be like, I can't do that. And it's very motivating, very motivating. So I applaud you.
Thank you. Tom, like, you read a lot, I read a lot, and most of us know what we need to do, but we have to be constantly reminded because things are in a constant change, especially now. And so where do you begin? Where do you end? What's just because you know what you need to do, you don't know what you need to do right now.
Yeah.
That one thing that we talk about, the one thing you need to do right now. And sometimes, like I said, you read something, you should, damn, that's right. This is what I need to do right now. And that's why you keep on reading, because the new book will tell you something to like hit you in the head, and just like a light bulb goes off, and now you know what to do.
It's so true. And, where I was talking, I did Rem's podcast, his prosperity one on Monday. And he asked me, what books to recommend. I actually recommended yours because of that, because of exactly that, of being reminded of the things that you just need to do. And it's a lot like Napoleon Hill, the 17 things, the principles. Those are written back in the 30s or whatever they were. It's not anything like earth shattering or, the silver bullet. But these are foundational things that you just need to be reminded of. And, it's like, doing, you and I are both training, always working to get better. We were just talking about that before we started this, doing push-ups. We've been doing push-ups our whole life, but we still will be told, get your shoulders back, like get your butt down, because you start to not, you just stop doing it the right way after a while. You kind of forget. And so just like what you were saying, reading reminds you again, no, that's the wrong, what I've been doing is wrong. Oh, thank goodness I read this. And you can read the same book over and over and over and over again and get different things from it. And so this is fantastic.
Thank you.
And I know that you work with REM and you help podiatrists all over the country,
right?
Develop their practice. You've created yourself a very a multi-million-dollar, very successful practice.
Mm-hmm.
From nothing.
As you say, bupkis.
in Piscataway, New Jersey.
Right.
A lot of people don't know. I didn't know that there was such a place. And you have developed that, and have ups and downs. I've known some of those ups and downs, mm-hmm. both in business and personally, and yet you continue to persevere. There's no excuse. And that's the other thing too. It's like people are like, yeah, but, I got this, I got that.
That's true. That's true. You know what? Everything in life, everyone has ups and downs, because if you didn't, you would not appreciate the ups. And it makes you stronger. And you know what? Just look right now, the pandemic, right? No one planned on the pandemic. it's like, okay, it's one thing that you screwed up your own life, whatever it may be. You invested in something that didn't work out or whatever it may be, but you didn't plan this. And since you didn't plan it, you can deal with it in different ways, with a positive mindset, a negative mindset of woe is me, and it's affecting everyone. And why is it in the pandemic of 1918 with the Spanish influenza or the stock market crash in 1929? Why is it that certain companies always not only survived, but they thrived? And why other companies failed? And it's all about mindset. It really is. When you have a positive mindset and you relax your brain and slow it down, what you get is clarity. And what you get is energy and clarity. And when you get that, your brain is now open to receive answers. And when you get these answers, it's like, wow, this is where I need to do now. This is where I need to pivot or change my marketing. In medicine, we don't really pivot. We're still treating people, but we are doing that telemedicine. We are making our offices safer for people to come in. And we're dealing with the situation. So it's, and there's opportunities when these things happen. And a lot of people, online marketing is online education, more time to think about your family. And even though you can't sometimes get them, I haven't hugged my kids in probably a couple of months, which sucks. But you know what? Zoom calls and spending more time on the phone, which I don't really do because I don't like the phone, but more time doing that it's just it's another way of doing something, but also you get closer and get to understanding what's really, really important to you in your life.
You say that in your book here. I was thumbing through here looking for it, but talking about having clarity and talking about if you don't have a positive attitude, if you don't have a goal, if you don't write down your your dreams, your goals, then you're just kind of like a rudderless sailboat being blown in all kinds of directions, right? You and I have talked about that before.
Yep.
If you don't have perfect clarity about what you want, then how is the universe supposed to give it to you?
Exactly. And you know what happens when you don't have clarity? You get anxiety.
Yeah, that's it. That's what you.
That's it. You get anxiety. When you get anxiety or anxious, it's just you don't have that good. You have that bad feeling in your stomach and your heart's racing. You think there's this whole situation will never end, but that's when as soon as we all feel that at times.
It's so true. And it's funny when I read that, going back to what we were just talking about being reaffirmed and being reminded, because when I read that, I was like, God, that's what's happening to me right now. And I went back. And so I thank you for that, because I went back and I was like, I need to get back to my affirmations and I need to get back to my goals, because that's one of those habits that is such a routine that you kind of get bored of it. You're like, and I've sent you my list of affirmations. Remember, I've sent you this giant list of things and just reading through that or writing that down every day, it can become tedious. Mm-hmm. But it's such an important thing. It's like maps your brain every single day, and you gotta stay with it. Otherwise, what happens? You float off course.
Yeah, like my affirmations, I read them. And by the way, for everybody who doesn't understand affirmations, these are not affirmations like, oh, I love myself, man. I'm a great person kind of thing. No, it's about one of my cards, and I'll share that with you. Is like, I come from love. If I come from love, how would that situation be like? So if you're in a situation between boss, owner, and client, customer, patient, or a staff member, and there's might as a potential for a conflict, and you go, well, okay, you picture it before you have this conversation, and you say, well, I'm going to come from love, from the other person's point of view. How will that end up? Because it's never going to work if you just shout out your feelings and don't care about the other person.
Right.
So it always works if you come from love. So that's something it's like, it's so easy to react. But it's a great reminder not to. That's what that card means to me. So, but these goals and affirmations, they don't work unless, one, you read it. But better yet, because I've been like trying to study the major successful people in our universe. They all visualize. They sit down, close their eyes, and picture these goals actually happened. Like you're in that scene that you now achieved that.
Right.
And that is really putting that information deep into your subconscious mind. And now your subconscious mind is looking for opportunities. Now, the way you get there is definitely not the way you plan it. It never really is. But you see things happen on a daily basis, and you might just change your path, and you get there. But you know what? When you're reading it, I read this yesterday, right? Time you ever had this? I read this yesterday. I know it, right? I know it. But it's not about knowing. It's about like feeling it. There's a difference.
It's funny because I read them, and I read them frequently. I cannot lie and say I read them every day. I haven't read them today. I will now. I'm reminded. I have my goals and affirmations, but when I read them most recently, I actually had to take some off because I had achieved them. And that's kind of some of the things. Some of them are material, some of them are like, I want to be debt free, or I want to pay off this particular credit card, or you can have material things on there, or I want to lose weight, I want to become. And here, one of the things that's really important, just for the people that are listening, about your goals and affirmations, is that you can't be negative in there. You can't use negative connotations, because universe doesn't understand that.
Right.
Like you can't be like, I don't want to do this anymore. It needs to be framed in a way that is, I am like I'm a non-smoker, or, I don't really know the best way to say that.
Well, you pick a date, like, it's December 30th, 2020. And I'm so elated that, I haven't smoked a cigarette
yeah, that's a different way to do it.
Or so, as our friend Dave Fries taught us, it is December 30th or sooner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's when you were talking about that, I was thinking about Dave Fries, because he's really good at that. That's one of the exercises, is picturing, putting yourself 3 years from now or 5 years from now. And that's a kind of a fun game, is to see yourself in the future of how you would like to be. And it's very freeing and very, it's just a fun thing to do when you're like, oh, well, this is how I want to be, this is, and it's, like, this is how much money I want to have. This is the house I want to live in. You could go all material.
Yeah.
These are the things I want, where, if your kids are certain age, where I want them to be going to school or whatever, or however you want your life to be in that time period. And so when you have clarity about that, going back to what you were saying earlier, you're basically creating the map. You're creating the GPS coordinates to get there. Correct. And if you don't do that, then you're really just, like I said, a rudderless sailboat going in whatever direction everyone else is telling you.
Right. Exactly. And like you just said before in my book, it said, do what others won't do. So the other people know they need to do whatever it is. Like you're a marketing guy. So marketing, a lot of people know they need to write original content. It's one of the things you always talk about.
Yeah.
But they don't.
Yep.
Because they'll tell you what, I don't have the time. So when I first met you, and you talked about original content, and I know I don't have time to write every day and something original like that, I hired a podiatry student, first year podiatry student, paid her $25 an article, And she would just write for me. She wrote for me for 4 years through podiatry school and through 3 years of her residency. So I had to write it for 7 years for $25 an article. So the question is like, and I learned this from Tony Robbins years ago. If you need to do something, ask yourself a better question. Like, how can I get this done without me doing it and inexpensively? And if you ask your mind a good question, it's going to give you the answer. It's going to work on that answer for you. So yeah, and that's the thing. So the answer to everything is like, I know if I did this, it's going to be fantastic, but I don't know how to do it, or I can't do it, or I'm afraid to do it, or whatever it is.
Or unless you don't want it, or unless you want to do it. Like, for instance, you know, when you listen to, you know, we were just talking before about Andrew Snyder, our friend, Dr. Snyder.
Yes.
That's an interesting thing because, you know, where it's painful to write and you'd rather be doing other things, which is fine. Me, I'm with you. I do not like to write content. Shh, don't tell anyone. I mean, because you know me, I'm the first one to tell everybody they got to write content, and it's true. Content is king, and I'm all about it. That's why I employ almost 20 content writers and pay them well, and have great content writers, and write a bunch of books. It's hard for me to. I mean, I'm in the middle of writing 3 books. And I've worked with Nancy as well. And, you know, she might hear this and I'll be probably in trouble and get a call from her and she'll be all over me. Where's your book, Tom? Because I went through her course and now she's still waiting on that book from me. And
I'm in a class now. I'm writing my 2nd book.
Yeah, well, and that's great. And I'm always kind of writing a book. What happened was, just to kind of sidebar, the book I'm writing with her, or that she helped me write, or got me about 75% of the way through, the rest of it's on me, was the Attract, Convert, Retain book that is basically all about that. And then I am rewriting the 5 Biggest Mistakes book, which I wrote, you know about that one.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I wrote that back in 2008. And I looked at that and I'm like, this book is old and outdated. This needs to be redone. And now I've redone that with some help from my writers. I have ghost writers that are fantastic and help me, just like what you were talking about. Mm-hmm. I'm a better editor than I am just a writer. So like I have ideas and I get started and they help me and then I take it back. So it's kind of like a back and forth kind of thing. And now that 5 Mistakes book is 7 mistakes because there's more mistakes being made that weren't happening back then. So I've added to it. And now that book is now a much bigger book. And I'm actually talking to Lindsay after this or later on today about helping me finish that book.
Nice.
So, you know, once again, it's these things have to get done. Sometimes you need help. We need help. Just like you're a surgeon. You can't do it by yourself. You need somebody to help you do it.
Right.
But back to kind of this, you know, talking to Andrew, and Andrew's had struggles with his business. Mm-hmm. And just like, you know, you have and all podiatrists have and pretty much everybody has. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that Andrew loves to do is he loves to write. You know that about him. And he had gotten away from it and for years, and he's got a writer and he still does, but he had pretty much just kind of outsourced all of his writing and was just being a doctor and not writing. And he lost some joy, and which was a big part of what made him happy.
Yes.
And because of and because there's a silver lining in everything, because of the pandemic, which is a terrible thing, but there's good things in everything.
Absolutely.
He was able to say, well, I've got this time and he got back into writing and he really enjoyed it. And he's been writing for his website again. He gets excited about it. It's made a huge difference. His traffic has increased. He's getting more patients in the door again, and more patients doing telemedicine again. And so that's kind of an example of like being reinvigorated, through content and what have you. It's just interesting.
You make a good point there. That's if you have the time, everybody should make a list of the things that they're really good at and they're passionate about. And then make sure you have time to do those things and find out the list of things you don't like to do.
Yeah, agreed.
And then don't do those things.
Right,
Because
right.
Even if those things like, I need to do this and I need to do it because this is what's going to bring more money into the business. But if you don't have the passion for it, it's not going to be that good. As if someone else did it, and it's taking away from what you love, because when you love something, you have high energy, and it's the energy, which is we're human beings, we're vibrations, we're vibrational systems. And when you open a door, like, you have a lawyer, you have a client, you open the door to see a patient in the treatment chair, your vibration is what sells your service to that customer, client, patient. So if you're not happy, they're not buying from you. Simple as that. They're not accepting your treatment plan.
One of the things also too that I picked up from your book is the follow-up. Is your emphatic approach to following up after the patient's gone, having the doctor reach out, how did it go? How you feeling? And when you noticed a decline in business or a decline in scheduling, you also saw that wasn't happening. And I love that, because I was like, we're not doing that. And I actually had a conversation with Buster about that today, about we need to apply that to our own business.
That's a perfect example of doing something that other people say, I don't have time for that. And I feel it's just best as a doctor. It's best coming from the doctor, because if the patient has a question while I'm calling them up just to see how they're doing, they can ask me. Otherwise, they go to ask the staff. The staff will have to send me a message. I have to write the message. And plus, it's more personal. And if everybody played a role in the company to do that, it's the part of coming from love. It's the part of showing that you care. And what will, I think every business owner cares about their patients and clients. I really do. But they get bogged down with the minutia, that they forget what's really important. And what's really important is the people.
I think it's tough to be a doctor and a business owner. Those are completely different skill sets. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. They don't teach you how to run a business in medical school, okay, at all. And we want to do that because we want autonomy. And even with this crazy world going on where private equity firms are buying offices, which is, depending on the situation, is fine. It's the patient that dictates where he or she is going to go. Your doctor say, go see this podiatrist. But what's going to happen, Tom, you're going to pull out this little device called the cell phone and look up that doctor, the podiatrist who your primary care doctor referred you to, and go, wow, there's no rating, there's no website, or poor ratings. And this guy, this podiatrist is nearby, is 25 5-star reviews. I'm going there because you know what? It's the patient. It's like anybody. Oh, try this restaurant. Try this restaurant. Yeah, look at these great reviews. And they go because of the reviews. It's really what dictates for what people do today.
So you got to be thinking about all of these things. So what advice would you give a podiatry student just coming out of medical school,
Mhm.
about what to do. That's kind of like you on the fence. Do I go to work for another podiatry practice, or do I go out on my own? What kind of advice would you
Right.
give?
Okay. Okay. So I obviously went on my own, and it's because um, I went on some interviews to be an associate. I was like, this is what we do here, and this is what we want you to do. Okay. And you have to do this. I remember the one interview I ran on. There were two older guys, and one guy says, well, I take 6 weeks vacation. And the other guy is maybe about younger than him. He's the junior partner. So I take 4 weeks vacation, and you get 2. Okay. And when you want to tape someone's foot, you do it the way we do it. Okay. And all that. So it's like, okay. And then I'm good if the money's good. But then they tell you how much money you're going to make. I'm going, all right, thank you so much. Have a nice day. And I like to, probably my personality is to take charge and make it my own. So that's why I decided to buy a practice, because it's hard to open up cold back then, because I needed to. I went to 50 different banks. I don't know if you know this, Tom. I had a 50-page proposal how I'm going to make this practice successful. Went to 50 different banks, and I'm like 49 looked at me like, what are you talking about? You want a loan for what? And to open up a medical practice? And then there was a bank in northern New Jersey. At that time was National Westminster, which became something else. Now is Bank of America. And they said, oh, yeah, we have a medical loan department. No such thing anymore, but they have a medical loan department. Come right on in. And they gave me my loan. But I had to hustle for that. And I had to prove to them, like, how successful I'm going to be. But if I didn't have a practice that I'm purchasing, was brand new, they might not have given me the loan. But to answer your question, you have to do one, you have to go where you want to live. Forget about it. There's 50 podiatrists in that block or city. If you want to live like in New York City, where there are loads and loads of podiatrists, then live in New York City, because if that's what's going to make you happy, then that's where you're going to be successful. And then after that, you might decide to be working for another podiatrist for a year or two, and that's okay, because you don't feel comfortable running the show. But either way, no matter what you do, opening up a practice or working for someone, I didn't do this by myself. No one does this by yourself. We were talking before the show, Tom. You have, like I do, a personal trainer. Tells you what to eat, when to eat it, how many push-ups you need to do exactly, and you follow the plan. And that's what happened over 30 years ago. After 3 months in practice, my practice was tanking. I didn't know what to do. I got this amazing fax that said, learn how to run your medical practice. Come to the seminar, 2-day event in New York City. After the 2-day event, I laid down 2 credit cards, spending $18,000 on a coach consultant for a year. And after that 1 year, I made more money than the guy that I bought the practice from in any one of his given 17 years of practice. So you need a coach. You need a coach.
18 grand.
18 grand. This was in 1989 or 1990, 18 grand. So you know what? No one taught you how to do this. You spend so much money, hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical school. You need to get educated, and you need someone to show you the way. As we talked about before, clarity. Okay, you need to market. You need to get staff that's good and train them and retrain them. You need to analyze your numbers. You need great customer service. You need all that. But how? You're seeing a patient. And how are you going to get it all done? So you need someone to get you focused and then have an accountability. These things don't get done unless you're accountable to someone. We might disappoint ourselves, but we don't like disappointing someone else, especially when we pay them.
Yeah. But people like doctors or medical students that are trying to make this decision, you're happy to talk to these people, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I won't steer them one way or the other, but anybody can
you'll help them make that decision by asking them a bunch of questions.
Yes. Yes.
And you guys, you work with Rem Jackson at toppractices.com.
Right. Yep.
Up with him.
Yeah. So Rem and Tina and I have a company called Virtual Practice Management Institute.
Yeah.
Which is a subsidiary of Top Practices. And we have clients, and doctors, and we have a great virtual library. And then we have coaching, group coaching, webinars, just constant information. And we help you set a GPS system to how to get from X to Y in the period of time that you want. And that's how my mind works. It's like, I want to get here. How am I going to get there? And how long is it going to take me to get there? And what do I need to do today?
So how does somebody get in contact with you to get more information about that? Do they just go to the website, or is there?
You just email me at peter@toppractices.com.
Okay.
That's the best way to do that.
How do they get this great book?
Okay, you go to amazon.com. You could type in my name, or just type in podiatry business solution, and be more than glad to get that out to you.
And we're going to put this on the bottom third of the video as well.
Okay, cool.
Because we got that skill.
Like nunchuck skills, bow hunting skills, computer hacking skills.
We know what we're doing here with that video editing business.
Yeah, you do. You guys are good at that.
Yeah. And I can tell you that I know a lot of podiatrists that Peter has helped. He's very organized, and Tina, and of course Rem, the marketing guru himself. I've known Rem for 15 years and worked with him. And obviously Peter and I have known each other for what, 10, 11, 12?
So it's probably about 12, 13 years.
Yeah. And worked with you on your website and your marketing all of this time. And
I got to tell you, Tom, it's I talked before how people are going to look on their phones and look you up. And then when I have a client and they're opening up their practice, I tell them the first thing you need to do, more important than an ultrasound, is have a great website. Because without that, that's the greatest marketing tool right there. And you guys do an amazing job. SEO is always up there, and it's fantastic. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Oh, well, it's because of you. And it's funny because yesterday I was having a meeting with Rem and my team because we were talking about some joint marketing we're doing together. And I used your name as an example because of reviews, because of just what you were talking about. When somebody says, because this is how the world works, they're like, you need to go see Peter Wishnie. You need to go see this podiatrist. And the one I recommend is Dr. Peter Wishnie. So what do people do? The people go and they pick up their phone and they type in, or if they're at their laptop, and mostly people today are on pick up their phone and they're going to type in Peter Wishnie. And what are they looking for? They want validation. And that validation comes in the form of reviews. And the number one review spot is Google. And that's whether we like it or not. And, Google is the king still, and other places, other medical, and those better than I do, but the other medical review places. And we just want to see 5 stars down the road. And if you do a search for Peter Wishnie, Top Practices come up in the top, your own website. Mm-hmm. But that's what you want to see. You're 100% right. And so that comes first. And so you got to be a really good doctor to get good reviews. So yes, you got to be a great doctor, what you are. So that's the other advice to all the doctors out there. Be a great doctor. Make sure you follow up with your patients. All the greatest advice is right here in this book about how to run your practice and how to run your business. Like I said, I've taken away so much great tips from this for myself, stuff I knew and needed to be reminded of. And so I recommend this to anybody. And just knowing you for all the years that I've known you and being in the same room with you, hanging out with you, you're just a fantastic person, just a great guy, a great friend. And Peter, thank you so much for being on my little podcast here.
My pleasure, Tom. It's an honor, and I'm finally glad we got this done.
I'm glad we got it done too, buddy. And you say hi to Jamie for me?
Will do. Will do.
You take care of yourself.
Take care, yeah.
Okay, everybody. It's been Tom Foster and Dr. Peter Wishnie, the Godfather in the world of marketing. You take care and stay safe.